Today we're going to be talking about resets when you're masturbating so you can last longer in bed. Now, what even is a reset? A reset is a systematic, repeatable way to reset 5 key areas of your body from high arousal back to baseline whenever that happens. Guys, it may seem like getting control during sex is nearly impossible, but with this reset exercise, it will become a reality, and that's what we're going over today. If you don't know me, my name is Max Pierce. In 2019, I figured out how to beat premature ejaculation. Now I teach other men how to do it using practical, real-life techniques you do in the bedroom with your hand or your toy. Because guys, you don't become a great chef by learning to grow tomatoes. You become a great chef by getting in the kitchen and cooking your ass off. The link to my course is below. You can check that out if you want. Okay, so why the need for resets? Well, here's what I want you to think about. Under normal circumstances in your day-to-day life, you're at baseline, meaning you're not sensitive at all. Watching this video right now, for example. Unless you're doing nofap, there's probably no sensation in your taint or your cock that you feel the need to orgasm. Now, I want you to imagine if everything stayed the same right now, except your cock became hard. You could imagine if you became hard and yet retained that feeling of no sensitivity, you could go as long as you wanted. And that's what resets are for. They're a way to allow your to remain hard, but bring back the other areas of your body that get sensitive or contribute to sensitivity and bring them back to baseline so you can continue stroking for longer. Now, there's 5 of these areas, and here's what they are. Your respiration or breathing, your lower abdomen, glutes, and leg muscles, your heart rate, your head and your taint, which work together as a unit, and your mental state. Now, before we get into exactly how to reset each of these areas, I want you to keep in mind that in the beginning, you're going to be focusing on each area individually. When you've mastered all the layers, you start doing them automatically, all at once. It'll become faster and faster. So as we move forward, I want you to think about a proper reset as really a combination of all 5 of these things happening all at once very quickly, so it becomes a single action. Okay, let's get started. First up, I always like to start with breathing. Now, don't click away. This is a very specific type of breathing that increases your focus and decreases your sensitivity by locking you into that parasympathetic state. Now, I've talked about the different nervous system states in other videos and how they prevent arousal, so we're not going to get into that here. Just know you want that state activated, and this specific type of breathing will help you do that. Now, the goal is to breathe in and out continuously on a loop and staying focused on whatever is in front of you. It should look something like this. You can turn your head and look in different directions also. Breathe as you turn your head. Look up. Side to side. And forward again. Now, it doesn't have to be super exaggerated, okay? Maybe 20 to 30% more deeper than you usually breathe, and keep it at a medium to maybe a medium and high speed. You don't have to go too high speed because you don't want to get lightheaded, but you also don't want to go too slow because that will put you in the trance state, and we want you to snap out of that trance state. Now, the hard part isn't the breathing itself. It's actually paying attention to when your breathing rhythm gets interrupted, right? Then you start getting lost in how good your body feels and everything going on down there, and then you get lost in that trance. So that's what you want to look out for. When you notice that, you want to snap out of it, get your sharp focus back, and reset your breathing back to a continual loop. Moving on to the second area, your lower abs, your glutes, and your leg muscles. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to relax all of the muscles in all of these areas, because similar to the breathing, once you get lost in that trance, all of your muscles in those areas start to tighten up, and it triggers your body, telling it that it's getting ready for orgasm. So when you feel that, I want you to check a few things. First, check your mental state. Are you focused? Second, check your breathing. Are you still breathing continuously on a loop, or is your breathing starting to get kind of shallow? And are you tensing up? So if you're in the trance, I want you to snap out of it, get focused, and bring your attention to your lower abs, your legs, and your glutes, particularly the backs of your legs around the knee area. And I want you to loosen and relax each area fully one by one. Start at the top with your lower abs, loosen that up. You can combine that with your breathing. Feel every muscle getting loose in your lower abdomen. Then you can move down to your groin muscles. If you've got your taint is starting to tighten up, take a nice breath and loosen up your taint muscle. You can do a reverse Kegel there. If you like to do a reverse Kegel, that's great too. Then moving down to your legs, particularly the back of your legs, around the back of your knee area, and just use your mind to bring your attention there. Again, take another breath and just loosen that up, all three areas, and go back through each one as many times as you need to until they are all fully loose and relaxed. And the reason we do this, guys, is it's not the muscle tension that's causing you to orgasm, obviously, but it is a secondary factor that contributes to alerting your nervous system here in the back of your skull, at the base of your spine, and tells it that it wants to start orgasming. So we keep that loose, and that helps to prevent that process. It's not the only thing, but it is a contributing factor. Moving on to the third area, your heart rate. Now, similar with the breathing and the muscle tightness, an increased heart rate signals to your nervous system to keep going towards orgasm, and we want to stop that. So for this, you're going to draw your attention to your heart. Then as you continue to breathe, I want you to keep your body still so you can really feel your heartbeat in your chest, and mentally slow that down as close to your resting heart rate as you possibly can. If it helps, you can pause momentarily at the end of those breaths just so you can really dial into your heartbeat and feel it beating in your chest. I do that sometimes. It could look something like this. Being still right now. When you're still, you can feel your heartbeat more, and it's easier to control it like that. So that is fine, guys. I do that also, but make sure you're only doing that really in the beginning, or if you're doing it as you progress and get better, just make sure that you don't hold your breath during normal practice, okay? You want to only practice like that with the pause at the end of the breath, just to get a feeling for how to slow your heart rate down. Once you get good at it, try to leave the breath holding behind. Do not bring that into practice with you, because as we know, the holding your breath during practice will help trigger your mind to orgasm. Up next is your cock and your taint. Now, the ultimate goal here is to desensitize both of these areas. Now, the only way to do that naturally without drugs, alcohol, or numbing products is by using your mind to focus and visualize and internally decrease sensitivity. For this, you could imagine a glowing rope down the center of your spine, down to your taint and your head, and influences all of the sensitivity there. So using your mind, reduce the glow in that rope, and that should cause the sensitivity to decrease in both of those areas. Now, if the glowing rope doesn't work for you, different people have different styles. You could experiment with your own. You could maybe think about it as your sensitivity as a volume knob and turn that down mentally. Or you could use my preferred method, which is very simply to just focus your awareness directly down onto those sensitive areas using your mind. Bring your awareness down to the sensitivity in your taint or down to the sensitivity in your cockhead, and just mentally focus hard directly on it, right? Pinpoint that and just try to turn it down using your mind alone. I also like to speak out loud when I'm doing that, because speaking also engages the nervous system. This is not technically part of the 5-step reset, but verbalizing is a very powerful way to engage your nervous system. So while you're doing this focus exercise, you can also speak out loud and command your body to reduce sensitivity in those areas. When I do it, it's something like this. It's not happening right now. We're turning that down. It's going down. Nope. Nope, not happening. That is not happening. You are going down, whether you like it or not. It's going down. Something like that, guys. Whatever you guys come up with that you feel comfortable with, that feels natural to you, that's how I do it. That works for me. Experiment with your own and come up with what works for you as well. Now, last but definitely not least is your state. Your state controls the flow of arousal signals from your brain down into your body. If your body was a nightclub, you could think of your state as the bouncer that decides whether or not to let arousal signals come in through the front door. And the single most effective way to activate your state is with a strong focus. And the reason is because you cannot focus on two things at once. It is not physically possible. Now, you can do two things at once, like walk and juggle, or listen to music and study. But you cannot focus your attention on two things separately at once. And that is the real secret to why state is the key to beating premature ejaculation. Because when you train your mind to stay focused on one thing, it physically blocks your high parasympathetic arousal state from allowing any signals to get through to your body. So a very simple yet effective way to do this is something I like to call targeting. And all that is to simply pick an object in the room and focus on it as hard as you can while you're practicing with your hand or your toy. And that's why I call it targeting. See, the key is you're not just looking at it casually, okay? You're focusing on it as hard as you can, which means you're actively engaging your nervous system. In other words, your state with whatever object you choose and strongly holding it there. Now, the good news about this is it doesn't even have to be a literal physical object. It can be anything. Guys, if your room is empty, just pick a spot on the wall. In fact, my favorite is the wall outlet, you know, the electrical socket. To me, for some reason, it feels very easy to kind of focus on that. It's very cold and sterile. So for me, it's very easy to look at it and get that feeling in my state where I'm unaroused. So pick an object or some kind of visual target, hold your focus there, and you'll know it's working when you feel this kind of weird split between your state and your cock. In my course, I call this state splitting. That split between your two states, your aroused and your unaroused states, is actually the very beginning of your ability to control yourself in the bedroom starting to break through. Now, once you've combined these 5 areas, a proper reset should happen fast, in less than a second. It should look something like this. And not just that, you're going to be doing multiple of these resets in a row, one after the other, until you finally squash that urge. Guys, as you know, the urge to orgasm is extremely persistent, so you just have to hammer away at it until it breaks. Then once the urge goes away, you start stroking again. Now, what kind of results can you expect from this? Well, after about a week or so, you should probably be up around double your normal time in bed. Unless you have it really bad, then your results should be even better. For example, if you're like I was and you could only last 2 pumps when you started, it's not unrealistic to be up around the 3 to 5 minute mark after the first week. In fact, the worse you are when you start, the more gains you're going to see up front. But with that said, even after knowing all of this, defeating that urge can still be a challenge. So if you're still at it after the first week or so and you're having a tough time, make sure to grab the course. I've laid everything out for you from start to finish. And not only that, you get access to me in the Discord where you can jump in there, ask me questions, and get help and feedback anytime that you need it. The link to that is in the description below. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them. And make sure you subscribe, because beating premature ejaculation is all I talk about, and I try to put out a new video each week.